The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. And when the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." Well, his mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." And so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when people have drunk freely, an inferior wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This morning's Gospel story takes place at the very beginning of Jesus' public ministry. Jesus and his mother, and it seems like there's also a few disciples, were invited to a wedding celebration in Cana. Cana was a small town not far from Nazareth, his hometown. The festivities seemed to be moving along fine when all of a sudden there was a crisis. The wine ran out. Now that's a serious problem for first century Israel at a wedding feast. It's a big embarrassment to the couple. It's a big embarrassment to their families. So Mary goes to her son and says, "Son, they have no wine." In other words, do something. Fix the problem for them. Jesus looks at her and says, "Woman, we're guests here. It's not our problem. Just relax." But then he looks at his mother's face. And what does he see? Disappointment. She looks back at him, and knowingly, she then goes to the servants and says, "Do whatever he tells you." So Jesus tells them to draw out some water, fill 6 large jars all the way to the brim, and then he tells them to draw out some of that and give it to the waiter to drink. So the servants do exactly what he says. And as they get the water from the well without even knowing it, the water transforms into a great tasting wine. They serve a glass to the head waiter. His verdict, "Marvelous, marvelous." And he slinks over to the groom and whispers, "Most people serve the good stuff first. And then when everybody's really feeling happy, then they bring out the cheap stuff. But you've saved the best till last." Now I want you to imagine that this whole story, the wedding feast and what goes on there, is an allegory. In other words, it's a metaphor for your life. Your life is like this wedding feast. And like at the wedding in our life, there are times when things run out, when the wine runs out. It may be running out in our job. We're not quite as happy at the job anymore. It may be running out in our marriage. Maybe the wine is running out in our favorite hobby or our activity, the things we like to do. Maybe it's running out in a long-time friendship we've had. Maybe even our relationship with God, the wine is running out. So, we can be sure that at one time or another, that wine is going to run out in our lives. So, when this happens, why does it happen? Well, sometimes it happens that the wine runs out simply because we're just plain tired. We've been too busy. We're busy with our education, with our relationships, we're busy with our career, with our family, and all the other stuff that happens in our lives, and the wine just seems to run out. At other times, the wine runs out because of neglect. We take things out of life, but give precious little back into it. We stop putting an effort into our relationships. We stop praying. We stop doing the things that need to be done to let the wine continue to flow. We hope others will do things for us, but we don't do a whole lot for them. We've taken more than we've given, and we've used more than we've replenished. We do that because, well, there was a time in our lives probably when the wine was easily plentiful, and when it was always there, it was even cheap. Things were going well. It didn't cost us a whole lot of energy. Life was good. But eventually, life got a little harder. The wine began to run out. And when that happens in our lives, what should we do? What should we do? Well, I think we can take our cue from Mary. What did she do? We need to look around the wedding that is our life, and see if Jesus is there, and see if he's there. We may have been ignoring him. We may even have been avoiding him at times. Now we need to seek him out. We need to seek out the one that can, metaphorically, change the water in our lives to wine. We need to let him know that the wine in our lives is running out, and we need to admit to Jesus that, hey, I'm running out of wine, life has lost its joy, life seems to lose some of its meaning. Now I need your help. We need Jesus to transform our life's water into the good stuff. And you know, there's some really good news about all this. We never go to the well of God's grace too often. We can't do it too often. He never gets tired of helping us out. He's always there. And if you think about it, and if you think that your best days are behind you, that's when things were really good, when the wine was plentiful, well, think again. Just as the story in today's gospel tells us, God always saves what's best for last.